our show with the Snow Queen fairy tale. There's a couple things I want you to help me out with. When we talk about the Snow Queen, and we talk about her white hair, I want you to say white with me. And her little daughter who cannot speak, when I go, she said with her eyes, I want you to say it with me. When the queen goes into the garden to cut her white roses, I want you to say it with me. So here's the story of the Snow Queen. Once upon a time, a long, long time ago, there was a beautiful Snow Queen. And she was called the Snow Queen because she wore all white. She had beautiful white hair. I didn't hear you. And she had a very pale pink face. And she was so beautiful and so kind to everyone in her kingdom. And everywhere she went, people would go, I love my queen. Because she always fed them in times of famine. She would bring them all to the castle when it was rainy and cold. And she always had lots of food and lots of work. So the Snow Queen would walk through her kingdom. And one day the Snow Queen said to all of her people, my people, I have the most wonderful news. I'm with child. I'm going to have a baby. Yay! Everyone was so excited. And when she had her baby, it looked just like the Snow Queen. And everyone called her the Snow Princess because she had white hair and a pale pink face. And she looked just like the Snow Queen. But she could only talk with her eyes. And everywhere she went, the little girl would talk to everyone with her eyes. And they understood her as she would go with her mother. One day the queen got sick, and the little Snow Princess was growing older, and she brought her to her bed. She said, my darling, I have bad news for you. I am dying. But when you become queen, I must warn you about something. There will be 3 crows that come to you. And one of them will restore your speech. But beware of the other 2, because the other 2 will try to peck you on the cheek, and will go to your mouth. I understand, Mother, she said, with her eyes. So the old Snow Queen died. And everyone was so unhappy. But the Snow Princess became the Snow Queen, and everyone loved her. She was the perfect queen, and she treated her people just like the Snow Queen, because she was now the Snow Queen. So one day she was out in her garden, and she was cutting her white roses, and she heard from the sky, caw, 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 and she gently put her, oh no, out of my kingdom, she said with her eyes. So another 5 years went by. The Snow Queen lived out each and every day for her people. And she was out in the dead of winter, cutting her white roses. And she heard, caw, 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 caw. No, no, out of my kingdom, out, out, as the crow tried to bite her lips. Oh my, the Snow Queen said. 5 more years later, and she was out in the garden cutting her white roses and feeling so sad because she could only still talk with her eyes. and she finished cutting her white roses when she heard caw, 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 caw. Oh. Who are you? And the crow turned into the most beautiful man she had ever seen. And she said to the crow, how could I ever repay you? With her mouth. Will you be my queen? Will I marry you? Yes, I will marry you. And the crow queen married. Da 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 da, da 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 da, da 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 da, da 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 da. And they had two little children, the Snow Princess and the Crow Princess, and they lived happily ever after.